Hello students, now see the second lecture of 7th module, that is organizational climate. You have seen last lecture, what is culture exactly, how culture is created in organization. Now see climate. What is the perception of certain context among the employees? What is the attitude of employees towards the organization? And climate is very temporary in nature, whereas culture is long term in nature. So climate is very important in any organization. Although it is very short term, it is likely to be changeable at different point of time. In certain organizations, if you say that strong culture is there, but may not have the good climate, good environment, although culture is there, but lack of environment. That is short term feelings, short term identity, short term perception about the organization. So this is very important. It is one of the psychological concept. Some people may not be agree with what other people feel about the climate of certain organizations. So many things to be discussed to this particular lecture. Agenda: organizational climate, features of organizational climate, difference between climate and organizational culture, dimensions of organizational culture, good and bad climate of organizations, factors affecting organizational climate, types of climate, developing a sound organizational climate. Now see, creation of climate or creation of culture, both are different things. If organization is strongly believe that climate has to be continued, good climate has to be continued regularly, perhaps it is not possible, because it is all about the perception of people. You can't satisfy the people unless you understand what kind of people's demand, employees' demand over a certain period of time. So definition of organizational climate is very important. Employees' shared perception or experience of the policies, practice, procedure of their workplace and the behavior they get rewarded, supported and expected there. It is so many things are there basically. Employees' shared perception or experience of the policies, practices, procedures of their workplace and behaviors that get rewarded, supported and expected there. So many definitions are there basically, but two definitions we have identified which is much useful. Organizational climate consists of a set of characteristics that describe an organization, distinguish it from other organizations, are relatively enduring over time and influence the behavior of people in it. Organizational climate may also be viewed as summary of the perception which people have about the organization. So this is the basically some theoretical idea, theoretical base of understanding organizational climate. Students, again, continuation of organizational climate and its existence and its feelings about the policies, procedure of organization among the employees that may not be unified, that may differ different point of time. Like as people expectation, that is very peculiar. Different group of people as far as HR practice is concerned regarding their promotion, regarding their transfer, regarding their parks, perquisites, different kind of emoluments, and that differs still customized HR, it is not much implemented in different organizations. It is in practice, it is in research item basically. What way you can customize HR mechanism, what way you can maintain the people, their motivation in the same continuation. So, these are all some of issues highly important in research. Research scholar, PG students, of course UG students, they must be knowing what kind of climate are persisting in different kind of organization. But PG and research students, those are interested in research, they must compare what kind of climate across the industry, across the companies, nationally, globally, eastern countries versus western countries. Because climate is one of such an issue basically that create some kind of sense of belongingness that can reduce the turnover intention, that can motivate the people at different point of time in different way. Once you understand properly what are the various factors affect organizational climate. Now see, main feature, it is the perception of work environment. I think sometimes quality of work life and other issues of inclusive environment that may club sometimes perception, that creates some kind of perception, that creates some kind of good narratives when you make comparison as far as quality of work life in different group of organization is concerned. It is a psychological atmosphere, it is very important. You people may not be you may not happy with the remuneration system, you may not be happy with the transfer system, but some other people are happy. So, it is a psychology, purely psychology, it is varying people to people. It is a quick picture of the relationship between organization and employees. The organizational climate is reflection of the degree of employee motivation. It has positive and negative effects on employees' behavior in the workplace. Now see, organizational climate versus culture, what kind of difference are there basically? This is very important to know because climate, culture are different. Climate reflects atmosphere of the organization. Culture reflects atmosphere of the organizations which has evolved over a number of years. It is climate is the psychological concept, organizational culture is a sociological concept. Organizational climate is known for employees and the employee relationship. Organizational culture is known for the quality and values. Organizational climate affects the productivity, employee behavior and motivation. But organizational culture affects the goodwill of the organization. These are all the very important part. One is goodwill, another is employee behavior and motivation, productivity. So, this is very important. It is not both the different construct, it is not interchangeably usable. Both has to be studied separately. Goodwill creation through culture, improving productivity, effectiveness through climate. Suppose one particular organizations not having very consistent climate, particular period that was some adverse climate, ultimately that may affect on motivation and employees' behavior, which ultimately affect on productivity. Now, dimensions of organizational culture. Rancis-Likert 1967 proposed 6 dimensions of organizational climate: leadership, motivation, communication, decision, goals and control. But Lewin and Stinger 1968 has proposed 6 dimensions of organizational culture: conformity, responsibility, shared rewards, organizational clarity, warmth and support, leadership. These are all the sum of things basically which defined by different authors as far as dimension is concerned. That means perception may be increased among the group of employees through the leadership, motivation, communication, decision, goal. These are all some of theoretical base of understanding dimensions of organizational climate. Good climate versus bad climate. What is good climate basically? People are satisfied, it is a good climate. Confidence in management, it is a good climate. Effective commitment, that means you have the attachment with the organizations. Intention to quit, then emotional exhaustion, then faith in organizations, performance. Bad climate is something like that. Turnover, stress, sickness, poor performance, error rate, wastage, accident. So these are all the things of good climate or bad climate. If people are satisfied, good climate, not satisfied, bad climate. So this is some of symptoms, signs of good climate, bad climate is concerned. Determinants of organizational climate. Which factors affect the climate of organization? Organization size, organizational policies, procedures, organizational structure, managerial values and ethos, leadership style, economic health. So many things are there basically. How size affect organizational climate? Suppose you have the different, it's a size, that means it has huge market capitalization and huge number of employees, and it is diversified. Organization size is very wide. So that cases maintaining climate, creation of climate may be somewhat difficult. Organizational policies and procedures. If your procedure is very affluent and very inclusive and covers the intention of interest of the different group of people, definitely you will have the strong climate. Organizational structure, managerial values, leadership style, economic health of organization is very important thing. There is very fundamental thing basically, that if any organization's economic health, say for example ROI and its cash flow, fund flow and its working capital, and that is so called profit earning ratio, some other things like as dividend payout ratio, that shows the economic health of organizations, and definitely that gives the positive impact on organizational climate. Now see types of organizational climate: people oriented climate, rule oriented climate, innovative oriented climate, result oriented climate. One by one I am supposed to examine with some examples. First one, people oriented climate definition: an organization climate that emphasizes the importance of caring for their employees. There is some of climate. Example is the SBI Life, developing strong relationship, learning and development, leading through excellence and performance, employee stock options for rewarding high performing employees, ex gratia to family of diseased employees, medical policy. This is not the example of SBI Life. So many other organizations, they are giving so many things for employee well-being, for caring their employees. This is the people oriented. People oriented means the employee oriented. Then rule oriented means what? An organization's climate that prioritize compliance with organizational rules and regulations for every organizational member. This is also very important things. Definition: an organizational climate that prioritize compliance with organizational rules and regulations for every organizational member. It's very important because rule oriented means here compliance is very important things, organizational rules and regulations. Now see, Apollo Hospital Enterprise Limited, they have the strict dress code. Not only Apollo, so many other organizations, they have their some rules, prevent actual or perceived favoritism, problem with seniors, possible claims or discrimination or harassment, close working relationship, professional decorum between all the employees. Disciplinary action may include immediate termination of employment or seizing the office at the company's sole discretion. So these are all the things, some of example, available information. I think rule oriented, you are imposing some kind of rules for creation of some certain climate. Now see, innovation oriented climate like as Wipro Limited, leading technology service. Innovation oriented climate, an organization's climate that focus on implementing innovative working styles and process to foster creativity and innovation at work. Example is Wipro. Innovation is the backbone for every successful organizations, efficient research and development facility, ranking, awards and recognitions, partnership with universities. These are all some of things basically which is much important. What kind of climates do you want to create? Whatever examples I am giving, this is not final, you can have the more examples by studying the different books and other things, different journals. You can find that every organizations, they have some of distinct features which create some kind of climate, good climate. So last one, there is the goal oriented climate. Some of organizations focus on goal. An organization climate has a result driven. Thus the organization climate emphasizes the realization of organizational values and perfectionism to attain desirable business outcomes. Goal oriented, that means want to create some kind of goal. They have the specific target to achieve the goals. Features, employees understand the organization goals and their individual roles in achieving them. Emphasize on achieving targets, outcomes and measurable success. Individuals and teams are held responsible for goal completion. Individual goals are aligned with departmental and organizational objectives. Goal achievement is encouraged through incentives, recognition and feedback. This exactly the innovation oriented, rule oriented, goal oriented, what exactly that means? That means create climate keeping in mind some objectives. Suppose your organization is innovative organization, that means you need to create some climate for innovation. Here is example, I think goal oriented climate, what kind of things we need basically for goal oriented climate. Now developing a sound organizational climate, it is very common, every organization, that open communication. The open communication does not mean that means anybody can communicate anything. There must have some policy, what to communicate, what not to communicate. There must have some policy of speak up policy, at what point of time, where, everywhere, globally, every organizations. Open does not mean that means everything to be disclosed, everything can be communicated. Things to be very formal and that is to be very keeping in mind the interest of organization, that may not harm to be very unhygienic type of informations we are communicating. Then concern for people, participative decision making, change in policies, technological change. I think this is very important. As I told that the very basic features of organizational climate, that is what the perception about the organization policies, practices, what the perception, what kind of, whether HR policy, whether it is some other well-being policy, employee development program policies, training and development policies, what exactly policies prescribe, that matters basically. If it is very much clear, then definitely that will create the favorable climate. Then change in policies, technological change is very important part, developing a sound organizational climate. Technological change has create critical organizational climate. Sometimes adoption of technological change and some kind of miscommunication of technological change that may disturb the organization. It has happened at several point of time. Nowadays, like say for example in AI, so many debate are going on basically about AI. Is it harmful for employees? Is it beneficial for employees? What kind of job to be retained? What kind of job to be terminated coming days? So many things are there, but there is no absolute figure, absolute sum of literature that what would be future of work. So I think technological change sometimes create some kind of climate, bad climate or sometimes wrong climate. So think positively what technology can function, what way technology can develop the performance of organization. So these are all some of important part of what I said, that the organizational climate. Now see some of questions as I designed basically for your purpose, for better understanding. See, listening the slides, listening the lecture and viewing the slides is not the important thing, unless you just ask yourself self-learned questions, recall questions. You may not be perfect to that particular lecture. What types of effects can be organizational climate have an employee's behavior in the workplace? because climate affect the behavior, then what type of effects are there? What type of climate leads to higher emotional exhaustion? This very important emotional exhaustion, what type of climate is create some kind of higher emotional exhaustion? What type of climate focus on caring for employees? What type of communication is essential for sound organizational climate? So these are all some of questions, students, that may be helpful for understanding this particular lecture. Now see some of literature which will be very important to clearly focus on this particular lecture. That is, some of research article is much, you may find a lot of what I said that literature everywhere, like as forehead, like as loin, Likert R, and some of Bandana R and Chandra at 2014. I think this is a very limited type of article as I prescribe basically. Students, remember, perhaps you may not have the good books, I think the very dynamic books of organizational climate culture is concerned, because it's very dynamic, as I told, that is the organizational dynamics, it's very very important, very specific issues basically, which whereas we need the proper understanding by seeing the different types of literature, what kind of development. So you are requested go through the recent latest articles or some of research paper to this particular things that will help you basically for your for your exact knowledge, creation of knowledge. So organizational climate is very important. Finally, I can say, since you will be, perhaps you may not be knowing exactly what kind of climate in certain organizations. Since it is the psychological issue, being a student, suppose you are searching some job, you are MBA students, you are say PG students, suppose you are research scholars and you are searching some job, you are supposed to be liking that particular organizations, whereas they have the good climate. Now see, that particular cases is very important. Nobody will tell you what kind of climate to that particular organization. Only thing is that if you study the research paper, that sample size and other things, any research paper you can see that what is the sample size and what the research site, what are the institutions they have covered in their research. So that will help you to understand this particular organizations having what type of climate. So climate may fall ups and down at different point of time, but by and large you may have some of idea. That will help you to search some new job also. So thank you very much for listening. Organizational climate.